So I'm at home minding my own business when I get a knock on my door, the dreaded Jehovah Witness knock. And of course, I was polite to them, but they offered me this pamphlet, and I took it because I wanted to see exactly how many things they said in it that was true or not true, and what coincide with their beliefs versus what is the reality of what the Bible says and things of that nature. So I got this book, and as you can see, I have all these different notes. See, I read it, and I read it line by line, so there's not a single thing in here that I didn't read. But basically, when I go to open it, the first page is just where it was written and the different references of the pages and what supposedly is in this book. The second page is where I start making all of my marks. The first thing I wanted was the exact numbers, because they said millions of people around the world rest their hope in God's kingdom. I am not disputing that. So what I've done is I have pulled up the different numbers and the different numbers of religious people in the world and things of that nature. So according to Wikipedia, these are the different kinds of major religions in the world. Notice Jehovah's Witness is not on this list. These are about the numbers for the number of people who are religious in the world. Here's a pretty little graph saying the exact same thing, percentage numbers. Because Wikipedia is not a valid source, I went to a different source, which basically states from the Washington Times that 84% of the world has some kind of religious numbers, and those the numbers broken down, which is about the same what Wikipedia says, but this is an actual article that I from a news source. So I went even further and found an actual article that has been published and criticized by other scholars, and this is the article. This just letting you know, published in 2012. They have it broken down by different religions, and then they also have it broken down at the very end by country. I skipped right to the end by the country, which tells you the name of the country, the population, total population of the country, and then the percentage of each individual religion that they cover in here. And then they have the other religion sections on the very end, telling you that that is, I'm assuming, what Jehovah's Witness would be included in. I'm going to shortly show you each page to let you see that I'm not trying to hide anything. And now that you have the numbers at the very bottom, it says the world population, which is actually a little higher now. It's more like 7 billion, not 6.8, because this was done in 2010. But the total world populations, as you can see, is for Christians about 31.5%, for Muslims 23.2%, and for the other Hindus it's 15%, and then Buddhists is 7%. And other, Jewish people are 0.2% for the entire world, which is a very small number. And then the other group is 0.8%, which again is a very small number compared to 7 billion. So because I did not want to use Wikipedia, because that's not a reliable source, because it can be edited by anybody, and also because I didn't want to go to Jehovah's Witness site as a source of reliable information, I went to the only one that I could find, which was Nation Masters. And according to Nation Masters, these are the number of participants of Jehovah's Witness in the community of the different nations listed here. The smallest nation, which is Fond du Lac Islands, is they have 177 different nations with Jehovah's Witnesses that are actively in that nation, and the smallest is 5 members. These are numbers according to 2002, according to this article. I'm sure if you went to the Jehovah's Witness website, you would find more current information, but these are the numbers that are, when they say millions, these are the actual numbers of Jehovah's Witnesses, and the only one that has millions is the United States. Again, as we see here, United States only has 1.4 million. So when the book says millions, they must be saying for the entire world, which would end up being about 2 million people for the entire world, which is less than 1% of the total world population. So back to the pamphlet that they gave me. They are saying here that H.G. Wells, which is the second underlined part, is a historian, which we will dispute here in a second. And they are also saying that most religions seem to give little attention to God's kingdom, and people who are religious would tell you emphatically that is completely false. That if you are religious and you go to services and you do read the Bible and or the Quran or the Hindu version of the Bible, the Buddhist Bible, then you will see for yourself that that's all they usually talk about is about the kingdom of heaven or their afterlife or the good works of God and things of that nature. And depending on the religion will depend on their answer. But this statement that most religions seem to be giving little attention to God's kingdom is false. So now we're focusing on the historic part of H.G. Wells as being a historian. And here's my proof saying he is not a historian. I googled historian, and this is what comes up. An expert or a student in history, especially in a particular period, geographical region, or social phenomenon. And according to biography.com, H.G. Wells is not a historian. He is actually a science fiction writer, and his things are used for references on things that inventions and whatnot that may be used in the future or that we have invented, but some also other science fiction writers have done the exact same things, like the Star Trek series and things of that nature. So saying he's a historian is completely false. He wrote 67 books, and these are the names of some of his books. Now here they say that they use the Bible as the only source of God's information. And this is not true, because their Bible is not the Bible that we would go to the store and buy. Their Bible is written by the Jehovah Witness Council, the Watchtower group, and which the Watchtower group also publishes this magazine, as you can see in clear letters up here. But basically, and actually at the top of the page, you can see they have pictures of other individuals of different races, ethnicities, and cultures, it looks like, reading this pamphlet. So I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to convey there, that this is all religions or all types of people will be a Jehovah's Witness. But in any case, their Bible is not the Bible that you think of when they say that. According to their own website, they have a Bible that they have called the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, and it is something that has been re-edited so many times that it was undistinguishable to look like other Bibles. So what I have done further into our readings is, because their description of the Bible is different than what you would buy at, say, Walmart, then I have looked up various quotes that they have in the book of their little pamphlet, and we are going to take it from there. And again, I googled what religious books do Jehovah Witnesses use, and this is the first thing that popped up, that exactly what I said, that this is not a normal Bible. This is something that is based off a bunch of other people that reinterprets the Bible and makes it into their own. This is page 4 of their little pamphlet, and they start talking about Jesus, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with talking about Jesus. My issue that I have with it is that many of the layers that they talk about with Jesus, they say that his thoughts and actions and written text have hidden meanings, and that I have an issue with. The Bible is pretty clear, although there are several different religions and a single word can be taken in different ways. So for this page, I have underlined the word hate, They say that Jesus hates to hear. Jesus never hates. That's the exact opposite of what Jesus does. He loves.